Hello, my dear friend. Welcome. I am so happy you are here with me today. My name is Anna, and this is the VUS Learning English podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something very important. We are going to talk about learning. Sometimes learning can feel very hard. It can feel confusing. It can even make us feel sad. But it does not have to be this way. Today, I want to show you a new way, a gentle way, a happy way to learn. We will make learning feel simple again. We will make it feel like a fun game. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. It means so much. If you enjoy our time together, please give a like to this episode. When you tap the like button, you help our little podcast grow. It helps other learners just like you find our warm and friendly family. I always love to know where you are listening from. Are you in Brazil? Are you in Vietnam? Are you in Mexico? Or maybe you are in Canada. Please tell me in the comments below. I read every comment and it fills my heart with joy to see our global family. Now, find a comfortable place. Take a slow, deep breath. Let's begin. Have you ever felt that learning is too hard? Like you are trying to climb a very big mountain, and the top of the mountain is very far away. Maybe you want to learn English. You read books, you watch videos, you write down many, many new words. Your notebook is full of highlights. The pages almost glow in the dark. But when you want to speak, the words do not come. It feels like the skill never clicks in your mind. It never feels natural. You feel stuck. You start to wonder, what am I doing wrong? Then you look at other people. You see someone learn something very fast. They learn in a few weeks what takes you many months. And a sad thought comes into your mind. You think, maybe I'm just not smart enough. Maybe my brain is slow. My dear friend, I want to tell you something very important. Listen closely. That thought is not true. You are smart enough. You are more than enough. The problem is not you. The problem is your method. And the way you are learning is the problem. Learning feels so hard because nobody ever taught us the rules. Nobody gave us the map. The difference between a fast learner and a slow learner is never about how smart they are. It is always about the way they learn. It is about the system they use. Today, I am going to share this system with you. It is a system with 5 parts, 5 simple ideas. This system will help you find what is stopping you. We will find your personal learning problem. And then we will fix it. This is not about working more. It is not about studying for more hours. It is about learning in a new way, a smarter way, a happier way. So you can finally learn with speed and with confidence. The way we learn in school is often broken. It is not a good way to learn for life. In school, we are told to be quiet. Sit still, listen, read the textbook again and again, remember facts for a test. And what happens after the test? We forget. We forget almost everything. This is a sad thing. It creates a painful circle in our lives. When we are adults, we want to learn something new. Maybe a new language like English. Maybe a new skill like playing the guitar, or maybe how to cook a new food. What do? We go back to those same broken methods from school. We buy a book and we read it all from the first page to the last page. We watch hours and hours of online courses. We take pages and pages of notes. And it feels good, does it not? Feels like we are working hard. We feel productive. We think we are doing the work. But then, when it is time to use the skill, we freeze. We stop. The knowledge feels empty. It is hollow. If we are learning English, we cannot remember the right word. We get confused about grammar. If we are learning guitar, we cannot play the song smoothly. This is what I call the great learning lie. It is a big, sad story that we tell ourselves. The story is, more work means more learning. But science about our brains tells us a different story. Simple things like reading again and again do not help us remember. The information goes into our brain, and then it flies away. It creates something called the feeling of knowing. You feel like you know it because you have seen it before. You see a word and think, yes, I know this word. But you cannot use it. You cannot explain it. You cannot write it in a sentence from your memory. This is where all the sad feelings come from. You put in 50 hours of work, but you only make a little bit of progress. Then you see another person. They put in half the effort and they just get it. It feels very unfair. This can make you believe bad things about yourself. You start to think, I am a slow learner. Or, I do not have a talent for this. You feel lost in a sea of information. There are so many things to learn, and you feel so overwhelmed that you learn nothing at all. You are trapped. You are watching video after video. You are reading book after book, but you are not creating anything. You are not using the skill. My dear friend, listen. The problem is not that you are not trying hard enough. The problem is how you are trying. Imagine you have a bucket. You want to fill it with water, but the bucket has a big hole in the bottom. You keep pouring water in, but the water just flows out. You're working very hard, but the bucket is always empty. Learning can feel like this. You are pouring information into your brain, but your way of making it stay, your way of making it useful, is broken. The bucket has a hole. Learning feels so complicated because we are following very bad rules. And the worst part, we blame ourselves. We think the failure is our fault. This hurts our confidence. It makes us afraid to try to learn the next new thing. But this struggle is not your fault. It is the fault of the method. So what if we could throw that old broken map away? What if instead of a map, you had a compass? A special tool. This tool can tell you exactly where you are, and it can point you in the right direction. It does not matter what skill you are learning. This compass will always work. That is what this new system is. It is your compass. It is not another list of study tips. It is not a new app for your phone. This is a new way of thinking. It is a way that is built on how our amazing brains really work. Think of yourself as a doctor for your own learning. A good doctor does not give every person the same medicine. No. A good doctor finds the real reason for the sickness. Then the doctor gives a special treatment for that one reason. In the same way, your learning stops for a special reason. You have one weak point, one thing that is holding you back. For some people, problem is a fear of making mistakes. For other people, the problem is that they do not connect their ideas. And for many, many people, the problem is just that they cannot focus. This 5-part system is here to do one thing. It will help you find your number one problem, your biggest weak point, and it will give you the right tools to fix it. When you fix that one biggest problem, your learning does not just get a little better, it gets so much faster. It becomes a joy. You stop wasting time on things that do not work, and you put your energy where it will help you the most. We are going to say goodbye to the great learning lie. We will not believe that more hours equals more learning. We will learn a new truth. The new truth is learning better equals learning more. You do not need to work harder. You need to work with more thought. You need to work deeper. It is time to stop being a person who just takes in information. It is time to become a person who builds knowledge in your own mind. This system will give you the tools to do just that. So, are you ready? Let's look at the 5 secrets, the 5 parts that control your learning speed. They are 1, connecting your ideas. 2, being your own teacher. 3, your feelings about learning. 4, pulling words from your mind. And 5, making a quiet space for learning. Your biggest problem is hiding in one of these 5 areas. Let's find it and let's fix it together. Let's start with the first secret. This is the most important one. And it is the foundation for all good learning. It is called connecting your ideas. Connecting your ideas is the art of building a web of knowledge in your brain, a web of connected thoughts. People who are experts at something do not just know more facts. That is not the secret. Their knowledge is different. It is organized. It is all connected in rich, beautiful networks like a spider's web. Every little part is connected to every other part. A beginner, on the other hand, just has a pile of facts. The facts are not connected. They are lonely. Think about it like this. Imagine you are building a puzzle. A beginner just collects the individual puzzle pieces. They look at one piece. They see its shape. They see its color. They memorize it. And then they pick up another piece. They do the same thing. They have a big pile of pieces, but they do not know how they fit together. They cannot see the big picture. An expert is different. An expert is always trying to build the full picture. With every new piece of information, they ask a question. They ask, where does this new piece fit? What does this connect to? How does this new piece change the other pieces I already have? Let me give you an example. Learning in a shallow or not deep way is like memorizing a math rule. You just remember it. You do not understand it. Learning in a deep way is understanding why the rule works. You understand it so well, you could create the rule yourself. Here's another example. Shallow learning is remembering the dictionary meaning of a word. Deep learning, connecting your ideas, is using that word in 10 different sentences in 10 different ways. So, How do you know if this is your problem? How do you know if you are not connecting your ideas? Ask yourself these questions. Do you forget most of what you learned very quickly? Maybe you learned something today and it is gone tomorrow. Do you find yourself learning the same basic things again and again? You learn a grammar rule, you forget it. You learn it again. Can you remember facts, but you cannot solve a new problem? A problem you have not seen before. When someone asks you to explain something in your own words, do you just say what the textbook said? If you said yes to these questions, then this is your bottleneck. This is your main problem. But do not worry, we can fix it. You need to burn one question into your brain. Ask this question all the time. The question is this idea alone or is it connected? Is it isolated or is it integrated? Every time you learn something new, stop. Force yourself to connect it to something you already know. Here are 3 simple, easy ways to do that. The first way is called the analogy bridge. An analogy is when you say, this is like that. You build a bridge from the new idea to an old idea you already understand. For any new idea, ask yourself, what is this like? Let's say you are learning about electricity. Electricity is invisible. It is hard to imagine. So you can build a bridge. You can say, electricity is like water in a pipe. The pressure of the water is like the voltage. The flow of the water is like the current. This makes the difficult idea simple. It makes the abstract idea concrete. You can see it in your mind. Let's try it with an English word. Maybe you are learning the word perseverance. It is a big word. You can ask, what is perseverance like? Perseverance is like running a long race. You get tired. You want to stop, but you keep going step by step. That is perseverance. Now, the word has a picture. It has a feeling. It is connected. The second way is to compare and contrast. This means you look at 2 ideas that are similar, and you find what is the same and what is different. Don't just learn what a cat is, learn what a dog is at the same time. Then make a little table. What is the same about cats and dogs? Well, they are both animals. They are both pets. They both have 4 legs. Now, what is different? Cats often like to be alone. Dogs often like to be with people. When you do this, you are not learning 2 separate facts. You are learning the relationship between them. You are building the web in your mind. This forces your brain to see the connections. This is the secret to building a true mental model. Let's try with English words. Don't just learn the word big, learn the word large and huge at the same time. Compare and contrast them. Big is a normal word, a big house. Large is a little more formal, a large company. Huge means very, very big, a huge elephant. Now, you do not just have 3 words. You have a connected map of size words. The third way is called teach it to a 5-year-old. Imagine you have to explain the new idea you just learned, but you have to explain it to a very small child. You must use very, very simple words. Try to explain it out loud. Talk to yourself. It is okay. If you just learned about the internet, how would you explain it to a child? You cannot say it is a global network of interconnected computers. No, you must be simple. You might say, the internet is like a giant magic library. It has all the stories and pictures in the world, and you can visit it from a little box in your house. If you cannot explain it simply, it means you do not really understand it yet, and that is okay. This simple exercise shows you exactly where the gaps are in your knowledge. It shows you where your understanding is weak. Then you can go back and fill those gaps. Connecting your ideas is more work at the beginning, but it is so important. It is the difference between having a mind full of dusty, forgotten books and having a mind that is like a Wikipedia where every idea is linked to another. This is what creates knowledge that stays with you forever. That was our first secret, connecting your ideas. Now let's talk about the second secret. The second secret is being your own teacher. If connecting your ideas is about what to do, then being your own teacher is about making sure you actually do it well. It is about being a scientist of your own learning. It is about not just following instructions without thinking. Most people learn on autopilot. They do the same thing every time. They read the chapter, they highlight some words, they make some flashcards. They use these one or two methods for everything. It does not matter if the methods are working or not. A person who is their own teacher is different. They are always watching. They are always thinking. They are always changing their approach. They follow a simple but very powerful loop. The loop is see to think to change. Think about a thermostat in your house. A thermostat is the little box on the wall that controls the heat. The thermostat is always monitoring the room. It is seeing the temperature. If the room gets too cold, the thermostat adjusts. It changes things by turning on the heat. A good learner does the same thing with their brain. You need to be a thermostat for your own learning. You need to see, think, and change. So, how do you know if this is your problem? How do you know if you are not being your own teacher? Ask yourself these questions. Do you use the same study methods for everything? Even when those methods do not work for you? Do you feel like you are working very hard, but your results are random? Sometimes you learn, sometimes you do not. You do not know why. Do you focus on the time you study? Do you say, I studied for 3 hours? Instead of saying, I can now explain this idea perfectly. Do you ever stop and ask yourself, is this actually working? Is this the best way for me to learn? If you said yes to these questions, then this is your main problem. You are stuck on autopilot, but we can fix this. You can learn to be your own amazing teacher. You have to break your old habits. You have to start choosing and changing your methods with purpose. Stop counting the hours you study. Start measuring the quality of your understanding. Here's how you can use the see to think to change loop. First is see. You need to see your habit clearly. A habit has a trigger or a cue, and then a response. For many people, the cue is, I need to learn this chapter of my English book. The automatic response is, I will read it again. Your first step is to see this. and then to consciously choose a better response. You can make a new rule for yourself. For example, when I read a chapter, the cue, I will stop after each small part, and I will write one sentence to say what it was about. I will do this without looking at the book, the new response. Second is think. This is where you monitor your quality. After you finish a learning session, do not just close the book and say, I am done. Ask yourself better questions. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well could I explain this idea right now? Be honest. If it is a 3, it is a 3. That is okay. Ask, could I pass a small test on this right now? This changes your focus from how much effort you put in to how much proof you have of your learning. Third is change. This is the most important step. If your thinking shows you that your learning was low quality, if you rated yourself a 3 out of 10, you must change your method the next time. Do not just do the same thing again, but harder. That is like hitting your head against a wall, but harder. It will not work. If writing a summary did not work, try something new. Try making a mind map, a picture with connected ideas. If that does not work, try explaining the idea to a friend. Treat your learning methods like little experiments. You are a scientist. Some experiments will fail. That is good. You are learning. The goal is to build a toolbox full of different learning strategies. And for each job, you consciously choose the right tool. You are the boss of your learning. You are the teacher. You have the power to see, to think, and to change. Okay, my friend, that was our second secret, being your own teacher. Are you ready for the third secret? This one is so important. It is the hidden problem for so many people. For most people I have worked with, this is the number one thing holding them back. The third secret is your feelings about learning. Some people call this your mindset. You can have the best learning techniques in the whole world. You can know all the secrets, but if you are scared of looking stupid, you will never use them. Your feelings will stop you. Having a good mindset for learning is not just about thinking positive. It is not about just saying, I can do it. It is about how you react when things get hard. It is about your relationship with difficulty. Some people have what we can call a fixed mindset, or let's call it a closed-door mind. When these people see a challenge, they feel like it is a threat. It is dangerous. When they make a mistake, they feel shame. They feel embarrassed. They think the mistake is a sign that says, you are not smart. So what do? They avoid challenges. They stay with the easy things. They do this to avoid the pain of feeling dumb. The door to growth is closed. But other people have a different reaction. They have a growth mindset. Let's call it an open door mind. These people see difficulty in a totally new way. They see a challenge and they see an opportunity. They see difficulty as a sign that they are growing. They know that mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are just data. Mistakes are information. In fact, mistakes are the most valuable feedback you can ever get. The wonderful researcher Carol Dweck has shown this again and again. This one small change in how you see things can lead to much, much faster progress. That feeling of discomfort, that feeling that this is hard, that is not a signal to stop. It is the feeling of your brain making new connections. It is the feeling of your brain literally rewiring itself. It is the feeling of growth. So, how do you know if this is your problem? How do you know if your feelings are holding you back? Ask yourself these questions. Do you spend more time planning to learn than actually learning? Do you spend weeks researching the best app, the best book, but you never start? Do you always use the same old learning methods, even if you know they are not working? Are you afraid that you will be bad at trying new methods? The moment you hit a problem, a difficult word, a confusing idea, do you feel a very strong wish to quit or to switch to an easier task like watching a video? Do you compare yourself to other people? Do you see their success, their final perfect result, and you compare it to your messy, difficult journey, and you feel sad and discouraged? If you said yes to these questions, then your mindset is your biggest problem, but you are not alone. This is so common, and we can fix it. You can learn to change your relationship with difficulty. You need to learn to see the hard parts as the price you pay to get good at something. It is the ticket to the show. Here are 3 ways to build an open door mind. First, learn just enough to make your first mistake. The biggest reason we get stuck and do nothing is because we try to learn everything before we do anything. Do not do this. It is a trap. Learn just a tiny bit, just enough to take your first action and to make your first mistake. Are you learning to cook? Do not read a whole cookbook with 200 recipes. No, read one simple recipe, then go to the kitchen and try to make it. And maybe you will burn the onions. Maybe you will add too much salt. That is the entire point. Your first mistake gives you a real specific problem to solve. My onions are burnt. Next time, I need to use a lower heat. Now you are really learning. Second, you must change how you see the mistake. Adopt the mistake as data way of thinking. When you make that mistake, you have to consciously, with purpose, reframe it. You can even say it out loud. This is not a failure. This is data. This is information. A mistake shows you with perfect accuracy exactly where you are weak. It is a spotlight shining on the one thing you need to learn next. It is the most valuable free feedback you will ever get. Treat it like a gift. Be thankful for your mistakes. They are your best teachers. Third, celebrate the feeling of difficulty. This might sound very strange, but it works. When you feel that frustration, that confusion, when your brain feels a little tired, I want you to pause. And I want you to tell yourself, good, this is good. This is the feeling of my brain getting stronger. This is the feeling of new connections being made. That feeling of strain is the literal physical feeling of growth. It is not pain, it is progress. When you change the label on the feeling, when you go from calling it pain to calling it progress, something magical happens. You will start to look for challenges instead of running away from them. you will become brave. My friend, you are building a new relationship with yourself, a kind, patient, and brave relationship. This is the heart of happy learning. Okay, we have talked about 3 secrets: connecting your ideas, being your own teacher, and your feelings about learning. Now for our 4th secret. This one is a very practical, powerful tool. Secret number 4 is pulling information out of your brain, not just putting it in. This is the single biggest, most common mistake that learners make. They focus 100% of their time on getting information in. They read, they watch, they listen, in. And they spend 0% of their time on getting information out. This is a fatal error. It is a huge mistake. Why? Because the act of trying to remember something, the act of pulling information from your memory, is what makes the memory strong. Scientists call this the testing effect. And it is one of the most proven, most powerful ideas in all of brain science. Let me say that again. Reading a chapter in a book 10 times is much, much less effective than reading it 1 time. And then trying to remember what was in it 9 times. The struggle to remember, that feeling of, oh, what was that word? It's on the tip of my tongue. That struggle is not a sign of failure. That struggle is the learning. That struggle is what builds the strong pathways in your brain. Think of it like making a sword. You heat the metal in the fire. This is like learning something for the first time. But if you just let the metal cool down, it is weak. It can break easily. To make the sword strong, you have to do something else. You have to heat it. And then you have to hammer it. Heat it, hammer it. Heat it, hammer it. Again and again. Pulling information from your memory is the hammer. It is the hammer that takes soft, weak information and turns it into hard, strong knowledge. Knowledge that you can use anytime you want. So, how do you know if this is your problem? It is very likely that this is a problem for you because it is for almost everyone. But let's ask the questions. Do you spend most of your learning time passively consuming? Just reading, highlighting, or watching videos? Do you make hundreds of flashcards, but mostly you just read them over and over again? Do you feel like you understand the topic when you are looking at your notes? But when you have to answer a question without your notes, your mind goes completely blank? Do you learn something for a test or a project and then 1 month later, it is completely gone from your memory? Like it was never there? If you said yes, then you need more hammering in your life. You need to practice pulling information out. Here's how to fix it. You need to change how you spend your time. Spend about 20% of your time on learning the new information for the first time. Just 20%. And spend 80% of your time practicing and pulling that information out of your memory. Here are some ways to do that. First and most important, embrace closed book recall. After you read 1 page of a book, or after you watch 1 short video, close the book, hide the video, put your notes away. Then, from your memory only, try to summarize the main ideas. You can write them down, you can say them out loud, you can pretend you are explaining them to someone. It will be hard. You will forget things. You will make mistakes. Remember our third secret? This is good. This struggle is the learning. This is the hammer. Only after you have tried your best to remember from your own brain. Only then should you go back and look at the book or the video. Then you can see what you missed. Second, practice like you will perform. Your practice of pulling information out should look like the real situation where you will use the skills. Why are you learning English? Do you want to have conversations with people? Then you need to be practicing conversations. Even if you just practice with yourself, you can say, "Hello, Anna, how are you today?" "I'm fine, thank you. How are you?" It feels silly, but it is powerful practice. Are you learning to code so you can get a job? Then you should be practicing solving problems on a blank piece of paper or a whiteboard. Not just in a tutorial that tells you every answer. You must practice the real skill. Third, use spacing and mixing. When you practice, pulling information out is also very important. Do not do all your practice in one day. This is called cramming. It does not work for long-term memory. It is much better to use spaced repetition. This means you test yourself on something at longer and longer intervals. For example, you learn a new word today, you test yourself on it tomorrow, then you test yourself again in 3 days. Then you test yourself again in 1 week. This tells your brain, hey, this information is important. Please do not forget it. Also, you need to mix it up. Do not just practice one topic for a long time. This is called blocking. It feels easy, but it is not very effective. Instead, you should interleave or mix different topics in one study session. For example, if you are learning English, do not study grammar for 1 hour. Instead, study grammar for 15 minutes. Then practice some new vocabulary words for 15 minutes. Then listen to a short English song for 15 minutes. Then try to write a short paragraph for 15 minutes. This feels harder. Your brain has to work more, but it forces your brain to learn which strategy to use and when. This creates much more flexible and useful knowledge. It is like practicing for the real world, which is always mixed up and unpredictable. So, secret number 4 is to be a hammerer. Pull information out of your brain. Close the book. Practice the real skill and space out and mix up your practice. Now we arrive at our 5th and final secret. This secret is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of this. If this part is weak, the whole house will fall down. Secret number 5 is making a quiet space for learning. Some people call this self-management. It is about managing your time, your energy, and your focus. You can know all the theory. You can know the best techniques in the world. But if you cannot get yourself to sit down and start, they are all useless. If you cannot focus your mind, the best methods are worthless. In our modern world, with our phones and our computers, there are distractions everywhere, infinite distractions. This is often the biggest and most immediate problem for learners. We feel busy all the time, but we are not productive. We are always behind on our goals. We sit down at our desk to learn English. And what is the first thing we do? We pick up our phone and we think, just for 5 minutes. And then 1 hour is gone. We have been watching funny videos or looking at photos. We have filled our brain with junk food for the mind. Listen to me. This is not a moral failing. You are not a bad person because you get distracted. These apps and websites are designed by very smart people. They are designed to capture your attention. Your attention has been hijacked, but you can take it back. You can build a new environment for yourself. So, how do you know if this is your biggest problem? Ask yourself these questions. Do you often feel busy but not productive? You feel like you are running all day, but you never get closer to your real goals. Do you procrastinate all the time? That means you always delay or put off the important tasks like you're learning. Is it hard for you to focus on one thing for more than 15 minutes? Do you always feel the need to switch to something else? Do you know exactly what you should be doing? You know you should be practicing your English, but you just cannot make yourself do it. If you said yes to these questions, then self-management is your biggest problem right now. And here is how to fix it. The answer is not to just say, I need to be more disciplined. That is like telling the wind to stop blowing. It does not work. Willpower is weak. It runs out. Instead, you need to be a detective. Find the specific thing that is stopping you and then change your environment to make it impossible. Here's the method. First, find the specific chain of actions. Do not just say, I procrastinate. That is too general. Be very specific. What is the exact sequence of events? For example, when I sit at my desk to study, this is the cue. I feel a little overwhelmed or bored. This is the feeling. So I open my phone to look at social media for just 5 minutes. This is the behavior. And then an hour disappears and I feel bad about myself. This is the unwanted result. Do you see? The problem is not a vague thing called procrastination. The problem is a specific action, picking up the phone. Second, commit to a drastic fix. I like to call it a nuclear fix, but let's be gentle. Let's call it a very, very strong fix. Once you have found the problem behavior, you need to make it impossible to do. Do not rely on your willpower. Change your environment. In our example with the phone, a strong fix is to leave your phone in a different room, or turn it completely off and put it in a drawer, or use a special app that blocks all the distracting websites on your phone and computer. The goal is to make studying the easiest thing to do. You want to make it the path of least resistance. Set up your space so that the good choice is the easy choice. Make your environment work for you, not against you. Third, use the 80-20 rule to choose what to learn. You cannot learn everything, so do not even try. It will only make you feel overwhelmed. There is a famous idea called the 80-20 principle. It says that in almost any subject, you get 80% of the results from just 20% of the concept. Your job as a smart learner is to find that critical 20%. Before you start learning a new topic, ask this question. What are the few key ideas that everything else is built on? And then focus on mastering those first. If you are learning a new language like English, what is the 20%? It is probably the 300 most common words. With just 300 words, you can understand a lot of everyday conversation. It is also the basic sentence structure: subject, verb, object. If you master these key things first, you will be able to communicate much faster than someone who is trying to learn all the words in the dictionary. This gives you confidence. It gives you small wins. And that makes you want to keep learning. Let me make all of this very real for you. I will tell you a story about a client of mine. Let's call him Leo. Leo wanted to learn Python. It is a computer programming language. He wanted to build a simple website. But after many months of watching tutorials, he was completely stuck. He felt terrible. First, we spent just 30 minutes to find his problem. His main problem was a mix of secret number 3, his feelings, and secret number 5, making a quiet space. He was completely overwhelmed by all the things he could learn, and his study time was full of distractions from his phone and the internet. So we applied the fixes. For making a quiet space, Leo committed to 1 focused hour of learning every day, no more. He put his phone in another room during that hour. He also used the 80-20 rule. We found out that for his goal, he only needed to learn a few key ideas in Python. That was his 20%. He could ignore everything else for now. Then Leo started learning, but in our new smart way. For his feelings, we used the first mistake rule. He did not watch a 10-hour course. He watched 1 15-minute video about one single idea. Then he stopped the video and he immediately tried to write the code himself. Of course, he got an error message. His code was wrong. His old way of thinking would be to get frustrated, to think, I am so bad at this. But now he reframed it. He said out loud, good. Data, this is information. He had a specific, real problem to solve. He used Google to find the answer to his specific error. He fixed it, and he felt a small, wonderful win. He was in control. He also used secret number 1, connecting his ideas. When he learned about a thing called a for loop, he asked, what is this like? He made an analogy. A for loop is like a factory conveyor belt that does the same job on every item that passes by. Then he learned about a while loop. He immediately did a compare and contrast. He made a table to see how they were the same and how they were different. He was not just collecting facts. He was building a web of knowledge. After a couple of days, Leo was writing small pieces of code. He started using secret number 2, being his own teacher. At the end of one session, he monitored his progress. He asked himself, how well can I explain what a function is? 1 to 10. He gave himself a 4. His old method was just to watch another video, but he knew that did not work well for him, so he adjusted. He changed his method. The next day, he tried to draw a mind map to show how a function takes in information and gives out a result. His understanding jumped to an 8 out of 10. He was teaching himself. He also started using secret number 4, pulling information out. He started his session with a blank screen. This was his closed book recall. He tried to write a small program from pure memory. He struggled for 10 minutes. His brain felt tired, but he remembered, this is the hammer. This is the good feeling of growth. Finally, he got it. Those 10 minutes of struggling did more for his memory than 2 hours of watching videos ever could. By the end of 1 week, Leo was putting it all together. He was not just learning concepts one by one. He was solving mixed problems. Problems that needed a function and a loop. He was mixing it up. He was practicing like he would perform. He was not learning concepts anymore. He was building his simple website. At the end of that 1 week, Leo had spent maybe 7 to 10 hours of very focused, very smart effort. His friends, who were still watching tutorial after tutorial, had probably spent 30 hours, and they were no closer to building anything. Leo had a working website, and more importantly, he had a strong, real understanding of the basics, and he felt proud. He felt confident. He did not work harder. He learned smarter. He learned happier. So, my friend, why does learning feel so complicated? It is because we have been playing with the wrong rules. The rule book we were given is broken. We focus on putting information in, when the real secret is how we process it and how we pull it out. We are afraid of mistakes. When mistakes are our best teachers, our most valuable gifts, we believe that more time always means more learning. When the truth is that deeper, smarter work is what creates real skill. The difficulty is not in the subject you are learning. The difficulty is in our broken methods. But it does not have to be this way for you anymore. You now have the framework. You have the new rule book. The 5 secrets. Connecting your ideas, being your own teacher, your feelings about learning, pulling information out, and making a quiet space. This is your new compass. It is your system for finding your personal problem and fixing it. Please, stop blaming yourself. The problem is not you. It has never been you. It is your method. And now you have a new one. Remember, my friend, learning is a journey. It is not a race. Every day you learn one new word or understand one new idea, that is a victory. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. You are doing a wonderful, wonderful job just by being here today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing your time and your energy with me. It is a gift that I treasure. If this episode was helpful for you, please leave a comment below. Tell me one thing that you will try to do differently in your learning this week. I would love to hear from you. And if you have not already, please subscribe to our podcast. That way we can meet here again for our next talk together. Keep going. You are doing great. See you next time, my friend.